This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did you have to fight a dragon?
Nope. She bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome to the Oddsbreakers, number one place for shared sharp betting information.
Welcome back to podcast 41 of 2026. I'm your host, Kiev O'Neill. You can follow me on X at OBKiev. Follow us at the Oddsbreakers. Follow us on social media / the Oddsbreakers. This episode is being brought to you by FanDuel Sports, a proud partner with the NFL. If you'd like to support the Oddsbreakers and benefit from our premium plays, please visit theoddsbreakers.com, click shop, become a member, pick any for winning cappers to get the premium plays before the line moves. You can also support us on patreon.com. If nothing else, please visit the Oddsbreakers. Become a free Picks and Telegram subscriber. We have a great show for you today. The Preakness Stakes is back this week. I think it might be 3 weeks after this year, though, from the Kentucky Derby to the Preakness. But either way, it's been 2 weeks, and the Preakness is running. And we got a great handicapper in Patrick Gates from the Oddsbreakers to break down the Preakness Stakes and tell us who he likes. Cannot wait to talk to Patrick about the huge horse race coming up this weekend. But before Patrick comes on, need to talk a little CFB, a little college football. Just I can't get enough of it. You know, we had Josh on last week. We had Brad on right after that, and just kind of kept diving into it. And I did finally get a good preliminary power rating that I feel is adequate for all these teams. Now, more deep dives need to be done as we have 138 football teams this year. But I think I have a good beat on where I want these teams to be. And the truth is I compared my season win totals. You know, what you do. If you don't know already, there's a winning percentage for each spread. You know, for example, 3 points is around 60%. What you do is calculate the actual spread with the winning percentage, and you add up all the winning percentages from the games at the end of the year, and you'll get a number between 0 and 12. Because there's 12 games in the regular season, unless, of course, you don't know the schedule yet, right? There's the Pac-12 where we're not 100% sure about the final game. But, what I was able to see is that I'm very close to the market on a lot, but I also found some good value, in my opinion, that, I'm going to be jumping on, and I already jumped on. Actually, Brad talked about a little bit of it, but there's definitely 2 plays that I want to give you guys. And, I seem to love the Big 12 because that's most of my bets. I've been in the Big 12 so far, but one of them I'm going to go is the under on Baylor. Baylor season wins under 6.5, minus 135 at DK. This team went through a lot. Dave Aranda has just not been it. He was a better defense coordinator, in my opinion, than a head coach. He went 5-7 last year, 3-6 in the conference. Now they lost Sawyer Robertson to transfer. They do get DJ Lagway, but what did DJ Lagway do with all that talent in Florida? Not a hell of a lot, I mean, he would have to take a massive step up to move this team's needle, right? Because Baylor is also a team that ranks 62nd in returning production, but only 58th in the on-3 net transfer portal ranking. So they lost enough guys to affect. Mostly they lost on the offense. They do return 62% of their defense, but they only return 44% of their offensive success, according to Bill Conley's rankings. So that's a problem. Another big problem that we can see is that they have a tough schedule Auburn the first game on a neutral venue. They lost to Auburn at home last year. Now what's going to make you think that they're going to beat them? Not a lot. Prairie View A&M's a win, sure, and Louisiana Tech at home probably a win. Louisiana Tech's kind of feisty this year, though. When I dove into them a little bit, Colorado maybe a win. Let's even say they're 3 wins, but at ASU probably a loss. Against TCU at home, give you a half a win there, 3.5. At Kansas, probably a loss. At UCF, probably a loss. Iowa State at home, maybe a win. At BYU, a loss. Texas Tech, a loss. And at Houston, a loss. I'm seeing 4 wins here, maybe 5. Let's just say they go on the road and beat Kansas or UCF. We can give you 5, even get to 6, and we still hit this thing, right? I have serious concerns for Baylor this season. So I like their win total under, and they just lost, in my opinion, way too much production this season. They even lost Bryson Washington, one of their running backs, and he transferred to Auburn, so he's going to be playing against them, knowing their plays. So I find that kind of interesting. But, a lot of guys graduate. Their top 3 wide receivers, Josh Cameron, Ashton Hawkins, Cole Wilson, all graduated. So that's tough. They have one senior left in Lewis Brown that was worth anything. Then they have some underclassmen, kind of trying to bring it up. But this is probably the last year for good old Dave Aranda. And I like under 6.5 for their season win total.
And so then I got a call from him saying, we don't have to worry about money no more. And I said, that's good. One less thing.
So the other play I want to give you is a very Chris Felica-ish play. The Bear. He likes to do these things, but I'm just kind of swapping out one of these different teams. I can't remember if he had it quite exactly. It was Oregon or Ohio State, but I'm doing a 3-way parlay to make the college football playoff at plus 125. I'm going with Oregon, Ohio State, and Notre Dame. Notre Dame's got the easiest odds to make it at minus 700, but Oregon and Notre Dame a little bit better to add all these together to make it plus 125. Look, I think Oregon might be the best team in the nation. Ohio State and Oregon are number 1 and number 2 in my power ratings. Ohio State hasn't lost 3 games, as Brad Power said, since I believe 2003, not counting that bad fired coach year with Tressel and everything. But I just think you have to put in Ohio State, even if they slip up and lose 3. I mean, it's the Big Ten. Look what they did with Alabama last year. But, you can say the same thing about Oregon, but I'm not worried about Oregon because Oregon, from a scheduling perspective, does not look so bad to me. Their hardest game, I believe, is at Ohio State. So I guess, one of them is going to take a loss there. But, Oregon, Boise State's a win. At Oklahoma State a win. Portland State's a win. At USC, probably a win. UCLA, easily a win at home. Nebraska, a win at home. At Illinois, a win. Northwestern at home, win. Then you got that at Ohio State. Michigan at home is a win. Bryce Underwood's not looking that great. At Michigan State, a win. And Washington at home is a win. 1 loss, that's what I see. 1 loss. And if they get 2, sure, so be it. But this team with Dante Moore coming back, they have a great backup in Dylan Raiola and a couple other dudes at quarterback. I'm just not seeing Oregon dropping 3. And then Ohio State, the most talented team usually in the land. I do not see Ohio State losing any games themselves or many games. It would just be really the Oregon game. I don't see them losing against Michigan this year. Ohio State just seems to be the better team. Obviously, Michigan went through all those problems, as you remember. But the non-con is at Texas. So that's kind of the tricky one. But Kent State and Ball State's wins. Illinois at home win. At Iowa win. Maryland win. At Indiana, maybe a loss. At USC, a win. Or give 1 win out of those 2. Oregon at home, 50-50. They'll probably be favored by 3. Northwestern, a win. At Nebraska, a win. And Michigan, the final game at home, as usual, is probably a win. So even with 3 losses with Ohio State, just because of their name and their stuff, I see them getting in, and we don't even need to get in Notre Dame. That schedule is a couple games, and they're in all the way. And they've already been told if you lose 2 games, you're in. So that is a great bet, in my opinion. Plus 125 for 1 star. All right. My friends, this is about the Preakness for the most part. So let's get into the Preakness Stakes with our wonderful guest, Mr. Patrick Gates. Want to be a professional handicapper? Check out theoddsbreakers.com, where we now have live odds and pick tracking. Click on live odds pick tracking and you can start tracking your picks, partnering with TallySight. Once you develop records and a following, you can use that information to move to the next level, gaining all that experience in your sports betting career. Make sure you check out live odds and pick tracking at theoddsbreakers.com, partnering with TallySight.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Now I'm very excited. Welcome back, our very own Mr. Patrick Gates. You can follow Mr. Patrick Gates at X at Gator Betting. Another huge week, Mr. Gates. I mean, we got golf, we have playoffs, we got hockey, NBA, and now we have the Preakness. How you doing?
Good. How are you? Yeah, it's a crazy time of the year, and of course, the Triple Crown just has to fall right kind of beneath the NBA, NHL, major championships in golf. Like it just seems like this is the peak time for sports right now in the calendar season. So it's exciting, but it's also a lot when you're trying to handicap multiple sports.
Absolutely. And you probably are right, because you literally have the postseason for NHL and NBA, and you have the a big Preakness and major golf event. That's just too many things that's going on. But hey, we're gonna have fun with it. It's like shocking the UFC didn't have something bigger. They still have an event.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but the White House UFC is coming up in a couple weeks. But anyways, here we are.
I was going to ask about that.
Go ahead.
When is that?
It's first week of June, I believe. I have to relook at that. I think it's the first week of June. It's coming up, and it's going to be an interesting event. I can't imagine what kind of security it's going to have, but it's
oh my god,
got a great card. But geez, the last card, man, with Strickland winning, holy shit, that was, and then Van knocking him out in the fifth. And I right before the fight, I was looking at Van. I'm like, I don't have time to send this out to members, but I'm just going to take Van by KO for plus 340, and it hit, dude. I was like, yes. I was like, I thought for a minute that's Tyra's going to get him, but then nope, Van was just relentless. Or I thought that her decision, but that was just one hell of a UFC event. But man, we're here to talk about the ponies, and that Kentucky Derby we just had was a little anticlimactic for me, because I was fading Renegade, and if Renegade hit the board like it did, I had no chance anyway. But you had the finisher and the third place horse off most cards. I'm curious. That trifecta must have made some people pretty wealthy.
Yeah. Oh, Selly hitting the board too. I think he was one of the add-ins due to all the scratches.
He was,
and he's actually in this race too. But him hitting the board in third was, I think, kind of the one that a lot of people didn't have. I know when we were talking about the Derby with Sean had mentioned when you go to that third and fourth spot, if you're playing the super try, you're going to hit all. And honestly, I think that's where that comes in. But the bigger story was Golden Tempo winning the 19. Crazy Ortiz brothers go 1-2. Renegade 2. He was the best horse in that race. I thought obviously he got screwed a little bit with the first post position, but that's the draw. That's how it goes.
Yeah, I agree.
I think people were, in myself included, I was overvaluing that first post position, knocking him out, and obviously with the new gate and everything too, he did have more room, and it was still a battle of a trip to even get that second. So I mean, credit to him on that one, but that is a really, really impressive horse.
Sure is. And I was bummed that he didn't win, because he might have run the Preakness if that was the case. I thought that would be the horse they brought in. But no, not this year. Another no to the Triple Crown, and we should be parlaying that with everything every year, I guess. It's just going to see another Justify or something, man. It's not going to be – it's going to be a while.
Yeah, it feels like the odds on that are like, I want to say 4 years ago, it was like minus 600 and now it has to be minus 1,200 or something just ridiculous that you're just like, it's not even, I mean, the market's kind of gone at this point too, just because of how rare it is. And like you mentioned before too, I don't necessarily think it's going to happen again unless it's really, really an oddity.
Yeah, I do too. It's going to be weird if it happens. And I will say, though, I believe they are extending the Preakness out 3 weeks. So that maybe it could change a few things. But we just, these horses now, more of an even playing field, better testing, effort, and then a couple other trainers, have to follow through.
I also think it's so hard to make money in this sport. And these owners see this horse winning the Derby and all of a sudden his stock soars up, and it's like, well, do you really want to risk that if there's any sort of injury issues, even in the slightest, and the Preakness or the Belmont? You kind of already have your cash cow now that they've won a Triple Crown race, and in terms of risking your money from there, it's really tough to do, especially when it's so hard to kind of get a horse in one of these races, let alone win one of these races.
That's very true, because the price goes up. You just got to add how much it would be more for a Triple Crown or at least a Belmont victory, and then Breeders' Cup. So that's what they're always thinking about for sure. But hey, we have a big race, man. But it's a little different, isn't it, this year?
It is. It's been held at Pimlico, for the past since 1909, I want to say.
Yep.
Around there. Yeah, since 1909. But this year we are going to Laurel Park, staying in Maryland. But Pimlico is undergoing I think it's $400 million renovation. So we're going to go back to Pimlico next year, which is good. It's nice to see a few of the kind of staple racetracks stick around and kind of have a plan for the future. And necessarily the sport's not in the best position, but it is nice to kind of see Aqueduct, Pimlico kind of undergo these renovations and move forward as some sign of life that the sport's going to continue. So we go to Laurel Park this year. Interesting about Laurel Park, it may not be around next year.
Right, it might not. That's crazy.
So it's been sold, or it's in the process of being sold or purchased for a training facility, but we don't know necessarily if this is going to be Laurel Park's kind of last hurrah, and it seems like it likely is going to. So it's going to change the dynamics of the race a little bit, not necessarily a whole lot, but it is something to kind of factor into your handicapping this year.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it's amazing you can pull $400 million into a horse track these days. It's like NFL stadiums cost a little bit more than that, but geez, man, that $400 million? Wow.
It is crazy too, and I think it all just comes down to state funding, right? Like that's the Bills' new stadium too. I think 50% of that, if not more, was funded by the state, and if you're going to get a state that's going to invest in these like sports facilities, they're gonna be able to do it. But it is interesting that Aqueduct and Pimlico, two major tracks in the U.S., are able to kind of afford these upgrades when everything in the sport is kind of trending downwards.
It is amazing, and it's great to see as a fan of the Triple Crown.
Yep.
And the fact that the state's doing that, bravo to them. All kinds of ways that the state misspends money. At least we can get something in sports. I'm okay with that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. With all the random funding that goes on, at least we know that this money is going towards some sort of enjoyment.
Let's talk about the favorites.
Okay.
Well, it's weird because you got three to four horses really that are like around the 5-0 or 5-1 favorite, I should say. Stuttering over here, trying to look at my PPs. But what's funny is that none of these are that recognizable. And the truth is, I am not recognizing a lot of trainers in here. Obviously, Doug O'Neill's there, Asmunsen, and I think Chad Brown. But I don't, see the Pletchers or the Coxes. What's going on with the top trainers not being in this race?
This is an interesting field, right? Because we only have 3 horses from the Derby competing in this race. That's going to be Ocelli, who ran 3rd, Robusta, who ran 14th, and Incredible, who ran 6th. So 4 actually, and no, not Great White. Sorry. So 3 horses. only one of those horses hit the board. So it's not necessarily a ton of top class talent when you kind of dive into the numbers of these horses, right? So these aren't necessarily the strength of field isn't what we're going to see or what we saw in the Kentucky Derby. And so it's a more open race, kind of like, again, going back to the Kentucky Derby, we talked with Sean, right? We said it's not necessarily one dead favorite. If Renegade had maybe drawn the 7th post position, I think he would have just been the clear favorite in that.
Oh, yeah.
But he didn't. So this is a race where I think you can look at and probably argue for about 5 horses. I think there's a lot more horses you can toss in this one, but we kind of saw how that went with Oselli in the Derby. So it could be one of those where you're looking at 3 over 4 over all in all. But it all depends on kind of how you want to set this race up. In terms of kind of grade, though, I don't think this is necessarily the strongest field we've seen in this race by any means.
Absolutely. And it's made it so I really did single one. Now, going back to what I said, Incredibolt is 5-1 in the 12 hole. You have, I guess I'll mention a
Taj Mahal.
In the
1.
Taj Mahal 5-0 in the 1. Iron Arner 9-2, which is 4.5-1 in the 9. I guess Napoleon 8-1, but I didn't really count him. Chip Honcho at 5-1 in the 6 hole. I don't believe he's going to stay at 5-1 necessarily. But and Oselli, like you said, that actually hit the board in the Kentucky Derby with a hell of a run at the last furlong. Really hit, and that's the reason why he's 6-1. So that's what we have for obviously the horses, and I feel like there's quite a few of them, but. Like I said, man, I don't like anything but the one horse. I'm just going to tell you right now. I like the one horse because I've watched that one horse run, and he's won by margin. And this is Taj Mahal. And what's funny about it, it makes me look at the other ones, and I think the other 5-1, 6-1, 4.5-1s are properly priced. But it just makes me kind of stay away from the whole trifecta idea, minus maybe one sleeper I kind of have in mind. So. That's just my thoughts, and you can tell me where I'm wrong. But I guess we should have started with the weather. I mean, is this going to be a muddy race or normal?
No, I think we're looking at pretty clear skies. I think the last rain we're going to see in Laurel is going to be around Thursday, I believe. So Friday and Saturday leading up. So the Black-Eyed Susan's going to be clear, and so is the Preakness, which is always good. So like we talked about before, one less thing to have to handicap.
Okay, well, getting back to the race itself, and you know which one I like. I gave you my tell on that one. But what about this mile and 3/16 here? I mean, we talked about this. Do you like it more for closers, front runners, tactical speed? What does it favor?
Yes, I wanted to touch too. I pulled up my notes here and I forgot to mention this. In terms of the favorites for this race, so the favorites have only won this race in 2 of the last 8 years. Journalism last year won this race. He was also the favorite, I believe, in the Kentucky Derby as well. And then Justify back in 2018. But when kind of diving deeper into those numbers, the favorites hit the board in 7 of the last 8 years. So while you may try to beat the favorite, which I kind of always try to do, he is going to be one of those horses that you are going to have to include kind of in that 2nd or 3rd spot, just given the smaller field and kind of everything, especially compared to kind of in the past, right? Like Journalism was just the best horse in that field by a wide margin. And so you're just going to have to include that. This year may be different. I don't necessarily think there's one horse that jumps out. So take that with a grain of salt, and kind of just wanted to give that information. But in terms of the style that's going to win this race, it's going to be horses that are going to be in the front or kind of right off the pace. We're looking for that tactical speed. Interestingly enough, there's only really one deep closer in this field. And they haven't necessarily been.
Looks like Patrick
traditionally. Can you see if I can pull it up now?
Go ahead.
On my notes. Sorry.
Yeah, I think.
So the deep closer, if I'm looking at this correctly, is Bull by the Horns.
Bull by the Horns.
So I don't like him. I think he's out, but.
Well, one thing that they're saying is this is a very speed-based race, Chip Honcho speed,
Yes, it is.
Iron Honor's a leader, Napoleon Solo. There's some horses that are just going to go out and then crap out. You wonder if you do get the suicide fraction, That's kind of like in the back of my mind when you talk about, maybe one true closer in this race. So I don't know. I guess Oselli's kind of a closer, but I mean, God, I want to fade Oselli, man.
I do too. Yeah, I mean, you look at the horses that are going to be near the front. 1, Taj Mahal. The 3, Crupper. The 4, Robusta. The 6, Chip Honcho. The 10, Napoleon. The 11, Corona de Oro. The 14, Pretty Boy Maya. Even the 7 could be up there. Even the 13 could be up there. Like, this is a race with a ton of front speed, and makes me very nervous for kind of even considering one of those horses. I think this is going to be a race where if there's 7 or even 8 horses going out towards the lead right here, I think they're just going to run themselves into the ground.
Let's see if we can look at Bull by the horns. I mean, let's just see if we can even talk ourselves into like a play on him. Number 8 horse, he's 30-1. He's got his buyers never past 70, which is a very low buyer, but he did win back in, I believe, in Tampa Bay in March. It wasn't a high stakes race. He ran in the Fountain of the Youth and got smoked by Commandment Chief Wallaby. It's how do you make a case for a horse that can't even get past the number 70 for buyers, in 5 races?
I think the only thing you're looking at, obviously he's going to need a massive jump with the buyers, but is this pace ideal for him? And I would lean more towards the yes, right? This is your main argument for this horse, is that this pace is going to be lightning fast, and they're just going to run themselves into the ground. This is the only closer in the field, which sets up nice for him given the pace, or the projected pace. And I think that's the only argument you can have, is say, hey, at 30-1, the lone closer, he's worth a sprinkle, right? I think that's your angle you have to take with this horse.
Okay, sprinkle. What about this? So do you think the fractions are going to slow down? Because you got all these front runners are going to try to get to the front, but at some point, don't you think the jockeys will be like, all right, we're just going to have to go from the 5 hole. We're just going to have to go from the 6 hole. Do you see that, or do you see absolute craziness going on to make those suicide fractions?
I think given the number of horses here that have, like we saw in the Derby too, there's a few horses who have won from various styles, whether it was kind of stalking the pace or front running. Like there's horses had more ways to win in the Kentucky Derby. Here, a lot of these horses who have won have kind of just come straight off the pace, went wire to wire. That's the only way they know how to win right here. So I think the pace is going to be extremely fast in this one. These horses aren't necessarily skilled enough to kind of maybe make a last second pivot with their jockey and trainer trying to come up with a different strategy on how to approach this race. I could see maybe a horse that just sits off the pace wins it, but it's going to be a horse that I think is maybe kind of just off the pace. And like we mentioned too, maybe Bull by the Horns in a miracle if the fractions go under like
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
23 for the first quarter.
Hopefully he's 50-1 or 70-1 to make it actually worth it.
Yeah.
Why don't you? Let's go by what you're tossing. Do you have numbers yet? You're ready to toss?
Yeah, in terms of tossing, let me pull up my document right here.
Sure.
So the race itself, too, I wanted to go back to this. There's only three horses who have won a graded stakes in this one. Mm-hmm. Napoleon Solo won a grade 1 a while ago, and then Iron Honor and Incredible have won grade 3 stakes. So this is not necessarily a field that is going to be incredible. But in terms of tossing, the Crupper, I think he's way in over his head in this race. I think he's going to be a horse that tries to just go out and cause chaos from the start. I don't necessarily see him as a legit threat in this one. Robusta, the 4, who was in the Derby, finished 14th. Again, I just don't see him competing at all in this race, but I just don't know about him. Who else did I have scratched in this one? Blow by the Horns again. Maybe that's a sprinkle, but again, I don't really see him competing too much in this one. Corona de Oro, the 11. The speed figures have kind of been going in the opposite direction here. Not necessarily the distance for him as well. And just don't see him being competitive in this race. And then any others? Yeah. Oselli too. Oselli is the one that we had talked about. I think you're in agreement of fading this horse. He's still a maiden. The last maiden to win a Preakness was in 1888.
Wow.
At 6-1, I just don't think there's any sort of value on this horse at all. I think this is a one-off. He got the perfect trip in the Kentucky Derby, but at 6-1, this horse offers no value. Maybe going to put him underneath, but I do not like Oselli at all.
Not a big fan myself. What's funny is like I'm going to ask you for a sleeper, but I think I could guess which one it is.
Okay.
Should I guess it?
Yeah.
Talking.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. It's IRAD, right? Right. Why not?
It's IRAD. Third place finish in the Bluegrass. Solid trainer. Deliberately skipped the Derby to kind of go towards the Preakness here. In a perfect post position at 20-1. I think this is a horse that you're going to see gets bet down. I think this is a horse that is not going to go off at 21, maybe 10-1. And I did want to point out something too. So the 14 post position, Pretty Boy Maya, post 14, we've never seen a winner in the Preakness come from that spot. Mm-hmm. So do what you want with that, but I did want to make a note of that.
Okay, never 14 for Preakness. A lot of times don't have 14 horses, so there you go.
Yeah, I mean, even talking too, the recent workout he just posted, it was incredible. Like you said, Irad Ortiz back on him. He won his maiden with Irad on him. No, different horse. Sorry. But yeah, the workout, Irad's on him. Yeah. I think this is an impressive horse too. Lost to Napoleon Solo by 6.5 lengths back in earlier in 2025. But yeah, I think this is the horse that's extremely live. Speed figures go in the right direction too, so I like him a lot.
All right, well there you go. Yeah, I mean, Incredible did fish 6th in the Derby. I didn't really notice his trip being that bad, but the whole Virginia Derby didn't impress me either. I mean, he won by a good amount. I will say I kind of did sprinkle Incredible in the Kentucky Derby. Just couldn't do anything for me. You know, he got 6, but I was like, I guess I can call that semi-right with losing your ass. But because I lost my ass in the Derby, let's face it. But
yep.
but it's like seeing him. So I was kind of looking at Incredible a little bit, but the one that's got me bothered the most, because I like Taj Mahal, is Iron Honor. I feel like Iron Honor, has hit that buyers, but he also, this is back in Aqueduct in December on Christmas, and then Gotham, he goes down a little bit, but he does win. But then, obviously, he has a terrible race in the Wood Memorial. Should we just throw that race out, and then maybe the market's throwing that race out because you got Flavian Pratt, who, if there's anybody under the Ortizes, it's maybe him just a little bit. What do you think about Iron Honor? At 9-2.
Yeah, him and Napoleon Solo are interesting. Yeah, Iron Honor and Napoleon Solo are two horses that I'm not really sure what to do with yet. Those are kind of my two question marks. In terms of Taj Mahal too, right? All 3 of his races were at Laurel Park as well, even adding to kind of the appeal of this horse. He's kind of the hometown favorite, so he is going to likely bet down from that spot as well. I do like Incredible too. I think he's certainly live in this race. I didn't think he had a great trip in the Derby. He was kind of bumped. I think he's extremely live at 5-1 if we maybe get a better price on him too, but the 9 Iron Honor, I don't know necessarily, not necessarily a great trip in the Wood Memorial, as you pointed out too. But I'm willing to kind of overlook that. He has been kind of better with Pratt kind of coming aboard now. So I don't know. I think he's live, and I think Napoleon Solo. So I'm going to use one of those two. I do like Incredible is probably my top pick so far. Talkin's going to be a live long shot, and then maybe Iron Honor, Napoleon Solo, and Taj Mahal are kind of in that second group that may get bumped up to the first group as well, depending on what the odds look closer to post time.
Okay, so incredible for you. You kind of gave that out there. Okay, Riley Mott, and there you go. I wish normally you like a little bit more of a number than 5-1, but I mean, there you go. So that's kind of the one you kind of circled here for your
it's
Derby.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we don't necessarily see a ton of 10-1s, right? We're not seeing the 10-1, 12-1 in this race too. It seems like they've kind of sectioned this off of about 5 horses in that 5-1, 7-1 group. And then from there, it jumps up to kind of 15 to 30-1. So we don't necessarily have the middle ground that we've seen in past races here, which is interesting. But I think we're going to get that based on the odds fluctuation.
What don't you like about Taj Mahal, the horse I like?
Taj Mahal is certainly in the conversation too, right? Improving speed fingers as well. Laurel Park, all 3 wins have come there. And I think it's just a level of competition. Has he seen this races? And can he withstand the pace? He's going to want to go out front. So does he get pushed by others? Can he hold on through this entire race? Being a front runner in this race is just going to be kind of extremely difficult given the sheer number of horses that are going to try to go out to the front, and he's in that first post position.
Yeah, I know. And the Preakness, the first post has won it somewhat. And I just feel like maybe Taj Mahal gets a lead and doesn't look back. That's my thoughts.
He very well could, right? I think at 5-1, if you were looking at maybe him and Incredible, those two, if they maybe get up to 7-1, I think I just sprinkle on both of them. I think those are going to be the two that I look at here in this race. Like I said, the only other two that I'd maybe consider were 9 Iron Honor, 10 Napoleon Solo, and then maybe that 5 Talkin'. But it's not a whole lot to like about these horses. It's really not. This field is kind of bad. It is bad.
Oh, shucks, man. I brought you in at the wrong time. Sorry, Patrick. I should have just covered this. No, it's just not the greatest field out there. But, it's funny. No. It is price-based. And these prices are going to fluctuate. You can go to Preakness Stakes and you can check out how the odds fluctuate. So, you kind of got his ideas, Patrick, right now. And Patrick's going to have a article out, the odds breakers, this week. So, he'll eventually land on something and a couple bets that he likes. Hopefully I will as well. I've been slammed with kid duties in Little League, but hopefully this will be the last crazy week of it. But here we are. This is going to be an interesting event at the Laurel, not even at Pimlico this year. And it's all going to change next year. Maybe you do see some more Derby horses come in next year. I know I kind of hope so. But, I guess without giving out too much information, do you even have an idea if you're going to use more horizontal or vertical plays?
Yeah, I think I'm going to kind of look at a few exactas this trip and then maybe throw together one trifecta. But I think it's going to be kind of mainly exactas that I'm playing in this one. The try, if anything, it would be you try to key maybe 1 or 2 up top and then just go all in third to try to kind of limit the price of that ticket. But in terms of sheer value in this race, I think it's kind of tough, and you're really going to kind of have to monitor how much these odds shift, because again, we could be betting 2 horses, like let's say Taj Mahal and Incredible, both like him to win. They could end up being the 2 favorites at 3-1, and all that value just kind of goes out the window here. So I think a lot depends on how these odds shift throughout the week up until post time.
I agree with you. Anything you like for the Black-Eyed Susan?
Black-Eyed Susan. So I just started to look in that race as well. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get an article out, but the 5 Broken Papa or Popa is interesting. Undefeated. I think in the 4 for 4 in her last 4. That's a good race. So there's 10 horses in that field. The 5 kind of jumps out. The 3 Holly's Holiday, with Pratt on board that one, and McPeak with the trainer. Kind of gets settle off the pace, and that's up for her as well. 9 AP's Girl kind of has the pedigree for this race, but Anna Ortiz is on that one. So I think there's a few horses you can argue for. I will be betting it, and I will kind of have more of an idea on that race. I will post something probably tomorrow or Friday.
Nice. So I got to squeeze you, Patrick. I got to squeeze you now. I have a minute with you. PGA Championship. Anything this weekend in golf?
My favorite bet on the board right now is probably Tommy Fleetwood to win this week. I think he captures his first major title. We saw him kind of have success at several other Donald Ross courses in the past. He had a pretty good number on him. I think he's 27-1 right now. Extremely accurate off the tee. The rest of his game's trending in the right direction. And maybe sprinkle on a playoff to happen. DraftKings right now has plus 390 for a playoff to happen this week. We've seen it happen last time. This course held a tournament, which was back in 2018. And the two previous times the tournament was held here, the winning margin was 1 strokes and 2 strokes. We've seen a playoff at the PGA Championship in 2024. So I think we see another one this year.
All right. That sounds awesome. Playoffs, I got a good number, plus 360 or so. I like that. We'll take a look at that for the PGA Championship. Where could our listeners follow you and get you great info?
Yeah, you can follow me over on Twitter at Gator Betting. All my NHL and horse racing plays are going to be over at the Odds Breakers, and then my golf stuff is going to be over at Roto Baller. So be sure to check all of that out.
Make sure you follow Patrick at Gator Betting. Patrick, it's been a blast. We'll be texting this weekend. Can't wait to see your plays.
Of course. All right. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, there you go. He likes Incredible for now. I like Taj Mahal for now. We both fell in the same sleeper. In the 5-horse here, Talkin', that's going to be ridden by Irad Ortiz, who loves to win derbies. So there you have it. Preakness Stakes is going to be fun, even though the field's not so great. I'm excited to watch it on Saturday. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. We'll be back next week, and the NFL schedule is coming out on Thursday, so we are going to be ready to give you plenty of our thoughts when it comes to all these divisions and all these wonderful teams. Check out our articles at theoddsbreakers.com. I hope you guys enjoy your weekend, enjoy all the games, enjoy the horse races, and go get some winners.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.